Indigenous entrepreneurial training and mentoring. Tonight we have a real treat. It's a joy and an honor to welcome Nadia, who will be talking about mindfulness and how it can make you a better person, a better business person, help you develop a stronger business, calming your outlook, etc., etc. It's a real treat to have Nadia with us tonight. I am going to make Nadia the presenter in about 30 seconds. Nadia, I will move your slides along and set up your videos when you tell me. And I am sure that you will all really enjoy the presentation tonight. It's something different. We've offered it before. It's been extremely well received. And I think it's something that you will all get a lot out of. So, Nadia, if you turn on your, there you go.
Hello. Hi, everyone. So wonderful to be here today. And Hoa, thank you, Jay, for such a beautiful introduction. I feel very humbled at your kindness and your beautiful words. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge and thank the Lekwungen and Coast Salish people for the privilege of being able to work and play and experience joy and all life has to offer on these beautiful lands. So much gratitude to the people of this territory. I would also like to acknowledge Jay, my friend and mentor, for the opportunity to be a part of this training program. Hoa, thank you. I would like to thank and acknowledge my family, my friends, my community, and the ancestors that walk beside me, within me, behind me, and in front of me, and help me to stand tall in who I am as a woman and as an Indigenous person walking in two worlds in this crazy world that we are currently navigating together. I would not be who I am today without the spirit and the love of the ancestors that walk with all of us. We can start. So this presentation, as Jay very kindly introduced, is called Waking Up to Opportunity, Mindfulness for Businesses. And like Jay indicated, it will likely be a bit different than the program that you all have been coming together in virtual circle with so far. We're going to be experiencing some guided practice, some guided meditations and visualizations. And all I ask is that you come with as open a heart and mind as you can. And certainly keep in mind that there are many paths to take to cultivating mindfulness and presence in your life as humans and as entrepreneurs. And this is just one offering and one way into that world, into this medicine. Next slide. Just a little snapshot of what we're going to cover. I'm just going to further introduce myself. Who is this person that you perhaps have never met before, suddenly joining your circle in your group. So just so we can have a little bit more familiarity. Then I'm going to discuss briefly, just touch on what mindfulness is. There are many definitions out there, and if you Google it, you will be inundated with information and so this is one small definition and my personal definition as well on that slide coming up. We'll do a short practice, mini mindfulness, I call them. One's called Two Things, and the other will do a brief stretching exercise to further tune into the body. We'll discuss, I'm a bit of a neuroscience geek. I don't know if there's any other neuroscience geeks out there or sciencey geeks, but I am a big neuroscience geek, the science of the brain and how we can change our brains throughout our entire lives. So a few fun sciencey facts, nothing too intense, just we'll touch on it. We'll talk about the benefits of mindfulness. We'll play a video clip of one of my personal heroes, Dr. Michael Yellowbird, who's an Indigenous scholar and writer and proponent of mindfulness in the States. We'll discuss additional ways to practice mindfulness. I'll touch on my personal story of how I came to mindfulness and meditation in my life. And then we'll go into our first grounding guided visualization, more of a visualization than a meditation. Then I think we'll take a short break. Hard to know, hard to read the room because we're not gathered together in person, but that's my best guess of when we'll all need a break. And then we'll come back. We will join together once again, and I will say just a few guiding words from my journey and mindfulness. I've been practicing since 2012 and picked up some good tips along the way that might serve you. Then we'll do a body scan meditation. We'll debrief that with the chat, just commenting on how that was, the chat function, I should say. Then we'll do a grounding earth meditation where we'll really feel our feet on the earth and the energy of the earth that's always available to us at any given time. As humans and entrepreneurs in the world, really important. You know, there's so much coming at you. Life can get exhausting. You got kids, you got your family, you've got loved ones, you've got the current health climate, you've got your business, you've got all the other things that life has got a handing to you. And the earth is always available to draw upon the beautiful, reinvigorating energy if we just become present with it. We will discuss some additional benefits to you and specifically likely to your business. We'll do a practice called Taking in the Good, which is one of my personal favorites. We will view a video of another one of my heroes, Roy Henry Vickers, an Indigenous artist and also a proponent of mindfulness, and just brings so much presence to everything he does. Then we will do a gratitude meditation, another one of my favorites, and have time for questions. I also have a few other exercises or practices waiting in the wings if time allows. But with that, we will on to the next slide. So my name is Nadia Salmonu. My Haida name is San Nanguas. It means the girl who sings or singing girl. I'm a mixed heritage Haida and Ukrainian woman, and I am so blessed to have been raised very rooted in both sides of these rich cultures that I come from, that run in my blood and my bones and make me who I am today. Much gratitude for my parents for raising me and my brother, my younger brother, with such rootedness and where we come from. I am a proud mama to an almost 2-year-old. Her name is Sage Alexis Burke. She's the love of my life and a real handful. I joke that she's the equivalent of 10. I don't know what 10 feels like, but I joke that she feels like so many kids at once. She's a ball of energy and just has such a fiery sense of who she is. She came out of the womb that way. There'll be a few photos in the next slide of her beautiful self as a 6-month-old and an 8-month-old, but that's to come. I graduated university. I went to Montreal to McGill, and I focused on mental health and addictions and Indigenous studies. And that was a trial by fire time in my life. Much trauma and upheaval and mental health challenges. A 4-year degree took me actually nearly 7 years. So I was the turtle, not the hare in that part of my path. Following that education, I tried to work for VIHA. My vision for myself is I wanted to
Nadia, I'm not sure if you can hear me. There seems to be a problem with the sound. To
Hello?
make that your microphone is on.
Hello?
That's better.
Hi. Oh shoot. Okay. Well, keep going on. Next slide. This is my beautiful girl. She's nearly 2 now, but these photos were taken at 6 months old and 8 months old. In the first picture, she is chewing and devouring a piece of her nanny's, my granny, so her great granny's fried bread. My granny is brilliant at making fried bread. It's a version of bannock, but different. We call it fried bread, and it's pillowy and delicious, and Sage agrees. The other picture, you can see a little gold bracelet, which is traditional in my culture, in my Haida culture, for a baby to wear their first gold carved bracelet. And this particular one was made out of one of my old bracelets. It had a crack in it, and we made something beautiful out of something that was once broken. Next slide. So what is mindfulness? So John Kabat-Zinn is world-renowned in his work in mindfulness and meditation. He basically invented mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is a medical grade program that's offered throughout the world. And he's one of my heroes, just speaks with such presence and humbleness at the same time. He says mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. So mindfulness is quickly becoming, I would say, a bit of like almost a fad. And the way that a lot of people throw around the term mindful and mindfulness is not really what it means. It's like it's a way of bringing attention to the present moment. So I just bring awareness to that fact. And my personal definition that I've humbly cobbled together is mindfulness is the art of cultivating an ability to be present with life just as it is, and therefore come from a place of responsiveness as opposed to reactivity. Now, I've come up with this definition because I am of the belief that cultivating responsiveness to life rather than reactivity is kind of the key to life, one of the keys to life, and the key to well-being and contentedness and cultivating peace, and a groundedness in who you are and how you live your life. For example, imagine being in a traffic jam. Like, we haven't been doing that so often lately. I mean, I live out in the West Shore community, and I used to have a heck of a commute, but since the current health climate, it's been a little bit smoother sailing. But we'll still experience traffic jams. It's part of being human and in this modern day that we're living in. So next time you're in a traffic jam, imagine instead of waving your hands or cursing under your breath, especially if you're in a rush and you just can't quite get there, you just sit there. You're cultivating an ability over time to sit with what is, whatever's coming up for you, and you're not trying to change it. You're not trying to fight reality. You're relaxing back into the flow of life rather than fighting against it. Like a fish or a fish in a stream, kind of going with the direction of the water as opposed to against it. Also, imagine preparing for a meeting with prospective funders for your business, and instead of letting your nerves take over and your mind carry you away with stress and worry, you are able to be with the tension or stress in your body and maintain awareness of your thoughts without getting swept away by them. It basically creates a bit of a distance between what you are feeling and thinking and sensing in your body and what you choose to do next. So really, really, really useful as an entrepreneur and as a business person in community. There's going to be so many times where you're kind of put on the spot, or you're preparing for an important event, or you're having to talk to a funder, or potentially having to approach people to partner with you. And there's going to be all sorts of an internal dialogue. We all have it, those self-doubting thoughts. They're often very self-doubting. They're often very critical. And rather than just listening to them and buying into them and getting swept up into a frenzy of emotion and kind of, falling apart, you can learn to hear them. Hear that internal critical voice. Feel the fear in your body. An elder in my life always says to me, "We feel the fear, Nadia, and we walk through it anyway." So this is what we're talking about here. He's so wise. That's Mickey Cook. One of my favorite quotes as far as mindfulness is, "There is beauty in the pause." There is beauty in the pause. This is, again, how we're becoming more responsive to life. We're pausing first. We're not quickly jumping in. We're listening better. We're tuning into the moment and deciding after, a pause and some silence or some reflection to respond. Viktor E. Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, he was a very famous psychiatrist that survived the Holocaust. He writes, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Next slide. So we've talked a little bit about mindfulness, yada, yada, yada. I could tell you about what it is all day. There's many, many videos and courses and workshops. And what I found with most things, courses and things that I've taken, is it puts too much emphasis on dialogue about what mindfulness and meditation is and not enough experience. So I really want to have some experiences with you all today. So one way to come into the present is through our body, through the portal of the five senses. So I'd like you to take a few minutes, a few seconds to look around the room where you are, wherever it is in your home or at your office or in your living room or your kitchen or outside, wherever you are, and ask yourself, what are two things that you can see? I see an apple sitting on my desk for the break, hopefully, and the sunlight streaming in. After you note what you see, ask yourself, what are two things that I can hear right now? Really pause and listen. Could be the hum of traffic, could be the whir of the computer or the fridge. Whatever it is, two things that you hear. Next, I'll invite you to think of two things that you can touch. I can touch the soft fabric of my pants and the eagle feather. Next, two things you can taste. This one's a little subtle. I ate some nuts earlier, and then there's a hint of coffee from earlier today. And then this one can be subtle as well. Lastly, two things you can smell. You can even close your eyes to really focus in on the sense of smell. Two things. The Palo Santo, beautiful plant medicine that I smudged the room with earlier. And there's another subtle smell that it might be the grass. There's kind of a grass rug that I have underneath the desk here. So that's just a really neat way to not only come into the present, but to ground. You know, so often we can get swept up in the hubbubaloo, for lack of a better term, of the day, a bit of a grind at times, especially if you're doing a balancing act between work and family and life commitments. And if you just pause, two things, go through each of the five senses, can be a really good way to just come back. Now we're just going to do a little further come into our bodies. When I am doing this in circle with a group of people in person prior to the current health climate, I called this exercise Pass the Stretch. So it wasn't just me leading, we each took turns leading a stretch, but I'll just take us through just a handful of light stretches. All can be done seated, so nothing too intense. Just we'll get further into our bodies and maybe release some tension and relax a little. My team at the Friendship Center and I really like to do this together before our weekly team meetings. It's a really nice way to just let go of what was before and tune into the meeting. So You just want to feel into your feet, kind of wiggle your body back and forth. And in your own time, you can drop your head to one side. Imagine your ear is trying to touch your shoulder. You will likely not get even close, but you're just looking for a gentle stretch on the opposite side of your neck. We carry so much tension in our neck and shoulders and back. So really, really nice example of wellness and just taking really good care of ourselves to give some love to our bodies that do so much work for us. You can switch sides, really breathing in to the tension and trying to let that go, breathing into that space. Great. And we're just going to circle our shoulders. You can take a few deep breaths. Now, if you take deep breaths, especially if you have a long exhale, that actually down-regulates the nervous system and enables your body to get into a rest and restore type of energy. So you'll get out of a fight or flight and more into a calm rest and restore. So deep breaths can really help. Lastly, I think we'll just do a gentle twist. Twists are really, really great to kind of wring out the stuck energy in our spines and our power centers and all in our core. So you just want to look, you're going to twist from your waist, kind of looking over your shoulder. Imagining you're kind of you're wringing out a piece of wet fabric or a piece of wet clothing. Just really, really gentle until you feel just a little bit of tension or a bit of a stretch. And you can just switch sides. Great. Next slide. So, as discussed, I'm a bit of a self-professed neuroscience geek. It's really cool how our brains have evolved to have certain tendencies. So, back in the day, we're talking like thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, in the time where we walked amongst prehistoric animals of various kinds, kind of cavemen, women, people walking the earth, our brains had to be on constant alert for danger. It wasn't a matter of, if something is going to be dangerous. There was danger at every turn, and we quickly had to evolve to recognize that. So it is thought in neuroscience and the neuroscience community that this caused our brains to develop something that has been termed the negativity bias, which basically means that our brains are skewed. It's the fundamental tendency for our brains to skew towards the negative. We evolved this way to protect us against predators and things that could harm us and stop our evolution as a species. Our brains are constantly on the lookout for negative situations, and when we find them, we zero in on them. It's very easy to do. Pretty much all of us do this, and it takes a lot to override this natural impulse. It was really, really beneficial, hundreds of thousands of years ago when we needed to be on such high alert. It's less beneficial these days because most of us do not live in such a fight or flight, do or die situation, in our day-to-day life. But because we've evolved this way, And because of the way that our modern day society sort of functions, we go into our negativity bias goes on high alert, and we go into fight or flight for things that are not actually life threatening, but to our bodies and our brains they are. So things like, a not a an angry text from a business partner, or not so great feedback from a potential funder, or not getting accepted, our business plan not getting accepted by a potential funder. All those experiences are going to potentially trigger our negativity bias, and we will latch on to that, a lot of us, at least at first, and be like, and kind of, it'll whip us into a bit of a storm of emotion and thought processes like, wasn't good enough anyway, why bother? Or I can't believe he said that, I worked so hard, yada, yada. So that's about the negativity bias. How do we overcome, what can we do to overcome the negativity bias? Rick Hansen, he's another one of my heroes. He's a neuroscientist and a mindfulness and meditation teacher. He teaches all over the world, and he's written numerous books as well. He says positive experiences as humans are like Teflon, they slide right off, and negative experiences are like Velcro due to the negativity bias that we've been discussing. Easy for negative experiences to stick. So we want to skew our brains as much as possible towards the positive. Our tendency when something positive happens is to gloss right over it and to not simmer and marinate in that positive experience. We really have to work at cultivating more positivity in our lives at like a body level and an experiential level, which sorry, the screen went blank there, which so that we can override the negativity bias and essentially move to adapting and changing and growing our brain new networks over time. Neuroplasticity, like the slide there says, is our brain's ability to adapt and change and grow over a lifetime. So a lot of people think or used to think that we were kind of stuck with the personalities and the brains that we have. And that's actually not true. Science has shown that we can be, well into our 80s and 90s, like our entire lives, and still cultivate new networks and change our brains. I find this incredibly exciting, which I think is why I'm such a neuroscience geek. It's really good news. We can literally change our brains over time. This is for the betterment of ourselves, our kids, our families, our communities, and ultimately for the world. And mindfulness is one way that we can change our brains over time. Next slide. So already touched on briefly a few benefits, but if you were to Google mindfulness benefits, there would be hundreds and hundreds of articles. Research has really exploded in mindfulness and meditation, particularly over the past 10 years. Anything from researching mindfulness in schools, in inner city schools in the States, to studying people that meditate really a lot, like expert meditators, like monks, very spiritual people that take mindfulness and meditation to another level, and basically studying their brains as well as studying other experiences in the lab. So there's some really exciting findings, and this is just a few of them. Improves well-being, mood, ability to savor the good things in life. There's numerous health benefits, like chronic health issues can be improved upon, can lower your blood pressure and improve your diabetes, relieve stress. It improves sleep over time. It can actually alter Mindfulness and or a meditation practice can alter gene expression, which means that you can alter at like a cellular level. You're altering your body and your mind, and looking to improve on health outcomes in your life. And overall, it just increases your capacity to deal with the roller coaster of life and just navigate those bumps in the road that are inevitable. One of my daughter's favorite books right now is Oh, the Places You'll Go. I don't know if any of you read Dr. Seuss to your kids. It's often a good graduation present, and I pulled mine out from when I graduated high school, and she's obsessed with the book. And the whole point of that beautiful book is there's ups and downs for sure, and surprises in this life, and good to roll with it all, and to acknowledge that all of it is life. Next slide. So this first video clip is one of my heroes, Dr. Michael Yellowbird. He is an Indigenous scholar and proponent of mindfulness. He has a beautiful website, Indigenous Mindfulness. And this is just a short clip where he is speaking of a personal experience of mindfulness in his life, in his early life. And I just think it's such a beautiful example of how we in Indigenous community, that these practices come naturally to us. Time on the land is sacred. Being with the earth and with all of her beautiful elements is part of who we are as Indigenous people. Mindfulness and meditation is nothing new to our community. I really think of it when I'm sitting with when I'm sitting in Indigenous community, I really think of it as a remembering. This is not teaching anything new. It might look a little bit different initially, some of the exercises, but it's a remembering of the way that we were and how we've always had a relationship with the land, with ourselves, and the interconnectedness of all life. So you can play the clip, Jay.
Our perceptions of the spirit world and our link to the many operations in our minds and brains. The path. As a teenager, I often felt compelling urges to isolate myself so I could deeply contemplate the world, the cosmos, and the varied challenges that life and death presented before me. My meditation of choice was a journey through the rolling hills, lonely buttes, and lush valleys in our part of the reservation. In seeking my place of solitude and insight, I would mindfully move through these landscapes, sitting down from time to time, immersing myself in the sounds, smells, and sights to find an acceptable pitch of spiritual resonation. As I soaked in the sensations of each place, I imagined who or what had been there before me, or what or who was there now that I was not aware of. I closed my eyes and allowed the sun and wind to touch my face. My mind and body relaxed. Enjoying these sensations and my reward-seeking dopamine, my brain neurotransmitter levels began a steady, unimpeded rise. The right side of my brain, the creative side, opened up, and my imagination became a conduit for communicating with those spirits that had passed this way long, long ago. Enteleki, perfect realization, however, remained elusive. On one particular calm summer morning, feeling the call of the wild, I packed for a journey. My pilgrimage was no doubt driven by the late-night conversations I had had with my mother about the direction of my life, the meaning of God, the force of the devil, and good and evil. Nothing too heavy. My mother is such a serene, philosophical spirit that harbors gentle doctrines of truth that she imparts with the love and generosity of a warm summer rain. Following our long talk that evening, I went to bed, my brain circuits noisy with the aftermath of our conversation. Through the open window near my bed, a gentle breeze entered, bringing the sweet, earthy scent of an approaching summer rainstorm. As I listened to its low rumbles and watched the accompanying flashes of light far off in the distance, I began to feel warm and drowsy. My brainwaves soon began descending from the high...
You can stop the clip there, Jay. Thank you. So grateful for the words of Dr. Michael Yellowbird. You can check him out if you're interested. As I said, he has a beautiful website. He writes extensively about mindfulness and has done research in Indigenous mindfulness. He also says that meditation practice in particular, he calls neurodecolonization of the mind. He believes that by practicing mindfulness and meditation, we are actively practicing decolonization. And he believes all healing starts with the mind. Really, really empowering. I find that so incredibly empowering, that the legacy that our communities, the trauma, the multi-generational trauma that we've experienced. I don't need to get into all, because I know that there's such awareness, especially in this group. But we can begin to decolonize our minds at a brain level by acknowledging the deep-seated messages and internal dialogue that's there about not being good enough, about the nasty words from the past, from residential school, and from these different atrocities that our communities have faced and overcome, essentially. But there's still so much more healing to be done, and I invite you to consider how changing your mind over time could bring about healing, could be a way forward in healing for yourself, your families, and our Indigenous communities collectively. Very exciting, and I'm just so uplifted and filled with hope at that idea. So some other ways to practice. When I'm in circle, in person, with you lovely group of people, I would call upon you and say, what are some ways that you practice mindfulness already? It doesn't have to look like, sitting on a mountaintop cross-legged or even meditating in general. My mom, I know her practice of mindfulness is knitting. My granny is crocheting. An elder in my life who I used to work with at the Friendship Center, Mickey Cook, he told me stories about his days of fishing, and the way that he told those stories and was so lit up and in the moment, brought into the present, body, mind, and spirit when he was fishing. Said to me that was and is his practice of mindfulness, or one of them. So you can run gathering medicines. This is a traditional way that we as Indigenous people have practiced mindfulness. You're coming into the present with the plants, with the forest world, with the living beings as you walk about. And unless you're present and silent and connecting with spirit, you're likely won't find the medicine, that you need or that you're looking for. It's all about coming in to the present, body, mind, and spirit. Talking with our elders and our loved ones. Children are an amazing way of practicing mindfulness, on the fly. Children, we come into this world innately mindful. We live in the present. We experience moment by moment. We do not carry baggage or hold on to stuff. When I watch my little Sage, she reminds me to come into the present and to stop ruminating and the anxiety and the anxiousness that I can sometimes bring into the present moment, and just be with her. Be with her on the floor, reading a book, horse playing, doing whatever. Meditation, as mentioned, is a way that many people cultivate mindfulness and more presence in their life. Simply breathing, sitting and breathing, deep breaths, just awareness, bringing awareness to our bodies through breath. our breath is always with us. So it is like an anchor that we can keep coming back to bring us, to pull us back gently over and over to the present moment. I mentioned knitting and fishing. What else can you think of? I'd invite you to contemplate, what do you do already that's practicing mindfulness? Just coming into the present and that oneness. There's a psychologist, Csikszentmihalyi, that's written about this term flow, which is like you lose all concept of going somewhere, all concept of time. You're so engaged in the present moment. You could be doing it forever, and your full attention is applied to whatever you're doing. So there's no doubt things that you all already are doing that are bringing that energy into your life. Cooking is another one of them. I am still learning to cook, so it's an ongoing. I wouldn't so much say it's a practice of mindfulness. Maybe when I'm cutting up some vegetables and such, it's a beautiful. Washing dishes actually can also be a really good one. Washing dishes is no fun. Often, I'm kind of like, not another load of dishes, and I'm sure many of you would agree. But if you bring a care and attention, a focused attention to what you're doing, paying attention to the feeling of the water, warm water on your hands, and the smell of the soap, and just coming into through your senses what you're doing, it can actually be incredibly enjoyable. So I'd invite you to try washing the dishes mindfully. Next slide. I just call this slide Remembering the Medicine. So there are positive changes I've seen in my own being over the past, I've been practicing since about 2012. So it's about 8 years I've been practicing mindfulness and meditation. Improvements in my mood and my mental health, ability to regulate my emotion. I have an enhanced ability to navigate the river of life much more skillfully. More of an ability to focus and pay attention. I kind of am like a dog who sees a squirrel. I had greater attention naturally earlier in my life, and I seem, especially since becoming a parent, to have lost some of that. So my mindfulness and meditation practices really help tune me back in and chase the squirrels, so to speak, a little less. I have enhanced presence with others, and that just adds so much more joy to my life, because rather than being half there or there, in my body, but my mind is over here, I am here right now, in the present, and there's so much joy that comes from that. I've noticed better memory retention, which is especially useful since becoming a parent and being super sleep deprived. I'm a little bit less reactive, and overall, I have more peace and calm in my life, even in chaos. I don't believe that I would have personally navigated the current health climate with COVID as well, so far at least, without my mindfulness and meditation practice. I feel like I would have spun out into grief and despair and in just lots of anxiety. And over time, your mindfulness and meditation, it helps you cultivate what's called equanimity, which is an ability to kind of hold all of life as it is without being swung by the high highs or brought into despair through the low lows. You're kind of balancing things out and holding all things in more of a balanced way. I'll just quickly share that I quite literally stumbled across meditation. I was on the cusp of what I truly believe was another depression. I've been clinically depressed about 4 times, and this was the last time was in early in 2012. And what I had done previously to kind of pull myself out of it and move through that on my healing journey was not working. And I was quite in despair. It was like summertime, bright and sunny and beautiful in downtown Victoria. And I had my head down. I remember it really clearly. I was so distraught and I didn't know what to do. And I came across a sandwich board sign outside of a meditation center that used to be just off of Discovery Street on Douglas, called the Bodhicitta Buddhist Center. And although I'm not Buddhist, I call myself spiritual. I was drawn in. I saw the sign at about 12:10. The sign on the sandwich board read free meditation 12:15 to 12:45. And I walked in that day and I feel like I was guided by forces beyond any comprehension, because it became a medicine from that day forward in my life. It became part of my purpose, something that I believe in, that can be a tool and a medicine that we can carry with us throughout a lifetime. And I just wanted to share that because happenstance and kind of out of the norm events are ultimately what lead us forward in this life, and synchronicity. Next slide. So along the way, I have done lots of reading and taken various classes and have come across just wisdom keepers and teachers. And these are a few small guiding words that I'd like to offer with the hope that you'll try a meditation practice. It's called a practice for a reason. It's something that you will not know the effect it'll have in your life until you actually do it and engage in it over time. So shortly before coming upon that meditation class or that first day, I read a book and I came across this phrase: "You are not the voice in your head, you are what watches the voice in your head." And all my life, I had believed that voice in my head, and I had believed it as truth. If you do not know what the voice in your head is, just pause for a second here. The voice in your head is the thing that goes, what is she doing? What is she talking about? I don't have a voice in my head. Why are we pausing? Any of those random thoughts, we all have that internal dialogue. And part of meditation is becoming more aware of that and beginning to detach from it, to not see it as truth. When thoughts come into your brain, they're just thoughts and they aren't real. We hold on to our thoughts with all our might as humans. Relationships are dissolved because of our unwillingness to let go of some of our thoughts and beliefs. Ultimately, they just pass through like a leaf floating down a stream. You can sit there and watch your thoughts, and they'll come at you, a million a minute, it feels like sometimes, but ultimately they're not real and they will pass. Expect that in meditation that you will get distracted. That is the nature of the mind. There is nothing wrong with getting distracted. And people that I've spoken to through the Friendship Center, they're like, I can't get meditation. I don't get calm. I sit there and yada, yada. And it's not about cultivating calmness necessarily. In fact, you might not feel calm some days, or for weeks at a time because of what's coming up for you. But ultimately, you're cultivating an ability to sit with what is. Whatever your mind or your body is throwing at you, you begin to be able to be like a container that is, you can let it flow through you. Okay, notice that angry thought, notice that frustrated thought, and let it go. Thoughts are in fact good. They help you train like weights in a gym. If we didn't have thoughts, it would be, harder, if not impossible, to practice meditation. When we become aware that we've had a thought, that is the moment of mindfulness that's bringing us back into our body. So it seems counterintuitive, but our thoughts are good. They remind us, okay, thinking, I've been thinking. And okay, back to the breath, back to, back into the body, back into the present moment. Most people start with using the breath, as I've mentioned, as an anchor. And as mentioned before, it's not about being calm and peaceful all the time. It's a practice for a reason. Daily, weekly, everything positive that could and will likely happen for you. You'll see benefits over time. And sometimes, most people think that I meditate every day. That's not the case. Sometimes 2 or 3 days can go by and I won't meditate. Sometimes a day goes by and I meditate for 2 minutes or 5 minutes. I'm in it for the long haul, and I don't beat myself up over the days that I don't sit and practice. I'm a busy parent. There's kind of a lot going on, but I will say that I notice a huge difference in how I operate in the world and my responsiveness versus reactivity on, when those couple days go by and I do not practice. And again, practices is, my sitting meditation or a run or those other ways of coming into the present through mindfulness that we discussed previously. So sticking with it is recommended, even though it's difficult at times. Next slide. Okay, so before we take a break, let's come into a little bit more of a grounded space with one another. This meditation, this exercise and experience I'll offer as a meditation, and it's a body scan. So as we discussed at the beginning together, a beautiful way to come into the present is through the portal of the body. So we're just going to deepen that and come into our bodies. So if you haven't practiced meditation before, I'd invite you just to try with me. Jump into the deep end. It might feel strange. It might feel unusual. You might become aware of that internal dialogue saying, this is stupid. What's the point of this? Or any other such thoughts that could be negative. And I invite you just to stay with what's there for you. I'm going to be guiding with closed eyes. And if you would prefer, you can have a soft gaze looking at a point in front of you. Some people feel safer doing that, and that is totally fine. And also, if you have your eyes closed and if at any point you feel uncomfortable or something's coming up for you, just open your eyes and come back into the space. Do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself in this moment. So I'd invite you just to come into the space now, letting go of what was before. feel the weight of your body held by the chair, and do whatever you need to do to get comfortable. And then if at any time you start to be uncomfortable, you can just feel free to shift. This isn't about total stillness or anything like that. Just do what is comfortable. You can have your hands resting in your lap. And in your own time, I'll invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. Take a few deep breaths. If you would like, on the out breath, breathing out through your mouth. And you can make it audible. Really letting that air out. And now feel the weight of your body in your chair and how you are totally supported and held in this moment. You can direct your attention to your feet, wiggling your toes on Mother Earth. Wherever you are, the earth is there holding us. It's quite a beautiful thing. And now focus your attention on your feet. And we're going to move upwards in our body, one body part at a time. Going through the sensations in our body and ultimately with the vision of letting go of tension. Allow your attention to move from your feet to your ankles, up into your calves. What do you notice there? Is there a tingling? Is there a heat? Coolness? Whatever you experience is all fine. There is no one way. Nothing you should feel, it just is. Moving that attention to your knees. Our knees do so much for us. They might be a little creaky, like mine. What do you notice in your knees? Bring that attention to your thighs. You can move your legs and thighs a little bit back and forth if you've lost connection with them. What do you notice there? Is there space, tingling? Maybe you feel nothing at all, and that's okay. Move that attention to your hips. Our hips do a lot. What do you feel there? Maybe a tightness. Can you breathe into any tightness? or sensation that you might be feeling. Breathing in the life force that's always with us, oxygen. Saying thank you to the plant world. And up to the belly, our power center. What do you feel here as you breathe into your belly? It does so much for us. What do you feel in that belly? And now to your hands. Don't want to forget our hands. Might feel tingling in the palms. You might feel a tightness, a warmth, or a coolness. Just note what's there. Into your wrists. You could rotate your wrists if you'd like more connection. To your lower arms, elbows, upper arms, shoulders. As we're here in our bodies, you can move your shoulders once or twice if you're moved to do so. Really breathing into the tension that's there. Inviting a little bit more relaxation and space. And into our chest, our powerful chest, where our lungs reside. Two full breaths. What do you feel in your chest? Is it tight, tingling, or expansive, constricted? Can you breathe a little space into your chest? Into your throat. Breathing in some gentle light and good energy into our throat. Up to our face and cheeks. You can do some little stretches. Just really feeling into the face. Unknitting the brow. We carry so much tension at times in our jaw, in our brow, in our face. Up through to the top of the head. What is it that you sense here? Perhaps it's numb. There could be a light feeling or a tingling, an openness. whatever's there for you at the top of the head, breathe into that space for a few more moments. And now we'll go on a journey back down through the body, much quicker this time. Direct your attention to the top of your head, your face, cheeks, jaw, to your neck, shoulders, upper arm, your whole arms, your hands, your chest. Move your attention to your belly, to your hips, your thighs, calves, ankles, and lastly, your feet. You can wiggle your toes on this earth, knowing you are held. In this moment. And in your own time, you can flutter open your eyes, coming back into the space, coming back into the present, and joining once again in circle. That was the body scan. I'd invite you to make any comments you might have about how that was for you in the chat function. There are no, as some questions there. Is that, I think that's what Jay's getting up on the screen. I was thinking now might be a good time for a short break. But I'm not entirely sure how to get a consensus on that. Jay, do you have any thoughts of how we can get a consensus on whether we need a break?
I think, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a break would be good now. Everybody's kind of relaxed after the meditation exercise, and that'll give you a chance to have a look at some of the questions that have been coming through from the participants, and you can hopefully answer them once everybody comes back from a 10-minute break. Does that work for you, Nadia?
Absolutely, yeah. If we can come back in 10 minutes, so that's like 7:23?
Yeah, 7:23. So everybody can take a break, and then we will reconvene in 10 minutes, and then Nadia has the balance of her presentation, but also she can respond to some of the questions that have been coming through the chat line, the very active chat line. Okay?
Sounds great.
Yes. Welcome back, Nadia. I think we can welcome our attendees back. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm feeling pretty calm at this point in time. Very mellow. So I've been following this exercise. I think it's cool. I used to meditate quite a bit when I was younger, especially going through university when it was a lot more popular, but it's certainly become more refined, and I think it's something I'm going to start doing more of. So I will pass the time back to you. There's some questions, some of which you may have already answered because these questions came, some of them earlier in the webinar. But yeah, have a crack at them, and then we can move on with the rest of your webinar. How does that sound?
Beautiful, Jay. Hawa, thank you. Welcome back, everyone. And while you may be feeling a little bit more calm, that might not be the case for everyone. And I just want to acknowledge that however you're feeling in this moment, it's all good. As stated earlier, as I shared earlier, when you meditate or have some sort of sitting practice, engaging in mindfulness and or meditation, it might not be calm in any particular day or moment, and that's totally okay. So just looking at some of these questions, I really, really appreciate the interaction through this medium. I'm just used to, being in person in real time with folks in the same room. So it's really lovely to have this engagement, and I thank you all. Please explain how mindfulness can make me a better business person. Someone wrote in, and there is a slide on that in a few slides, I believe, but just to touch on it, basically, any form of mindfulness practice, including meditation, but it doesn't have to be a sitting meditation practice, will improve your life. I truly believe to the depths of my being in all areas. You will become more present and engaging with others in whatever you are doing. So as a business person, as an entrepreneur, presence is kind of a hard word to define, but you are there in the present moment, body, mind, and spirit, engaged in the task at hand, whether that be a conversation with a client or a conversation with a partner or a potential meeting with a funder. People pay attention to folks that have cultivated presence. There is something about people that have presence and have worked to cultivate it in their life that others are drawn to. So I really believe that these practices, this medicine, mindfulness and meditation, will make you a more successful entrepreneur, because people, it's a very it's a quality and a kind of a charisma that comes through of being relaxed and in the flow with what is, and others are drawn to that. You will likely become a better listener, which is also a positive for being a successful entrepreneur and in conversations and any kind of dealings with your clients. Everybody wants to be heard, everybody wants to be seen, and everybody wants to be listened to. I know Jay, if he hasn't touched on already, talks about the psychology of business, and that it's a bit of a game at times, but really it comes down to what people want. What do your clients want? What do people want? And when you're a good listener, and this will be cultivated through any practice of mindfulness and or meditation, your internal dialogue, or what you've got going on as a person, you're able to hone your attention so completely on the person in front of you that they are so lit up by that encounter because you are giving your full being to them in that moment, and that is it is very rewarding. I'm sure you all have had experiences in which you feel seen and heard, both in business and in your personal lives. And it's an incredible feeling to be met with that kind of energy, and can only mean success for your business. And, not a guarantee, but likely you won't procrastinate as much, and you'll just have an increased ability to concentrate and kind of hone in on what needs doing. There are things in business that are not so fun. Jay might disagree, but everybody is not good with numbers, and some people don't want to, work on their business plan, or some people don't want to move towards, growing their. Jay, are you there?
Sorry, Nadia, your image seems to be frozen. Can you check your camera, please?
Hello?
Yeah, your image is frozen, so can you check your camera, please? Hi, Nadia, can you try it again, please? Turn your camera on okay, turn your camera on, please, or whatever you have to do to get your picture back on. There's another video that Nadia was quite anxious to share with you, and that's with Roy Vickers, the artist, and I will play that while she tries to get back on stream.
But just, think like a fish. Think like a fish, he'd tell me. I don't know how fish think. Well, that life in the village, to me, it was filled with positive lessons about how to survive, how to get your food, how to keep your house warm. You'd go out there outside of our house in the summertime, and you'd hear this sound on the Saturday morning. And there was somebody with a big crosscut saw cutting wood on the beach. I'd go down there and help them. Didn't really help them, and they were just pulling me and pushing me back and forth. But they let me believe I was helping them. One time I was coming down the inlet with my grandpa. We had this rowboat, really beautiful rowboat, and we'd been gone for 2 days. And as we were rowing along, we were towing 3 logs, I think. They were big 50-foot logs. And I'm pushing the oars, and he's pulling the oars, and then we'd switch places, and I'd pull the oars, and he'd push the oars. And as we got close to the village, I could hear the church bells. And I smiled to myself. I thought, don't have to go to church today. Don't have to go to Sunday school today. Just be with my And I thought, you know, I never seen him in church ever. Granny, she goes to church all the time, and she's always shaking her finger at me when I'm not behaving the way I should be. But yeah, I never did that. I said to him, yeah, you don't go to church. And he did this to me. And then he looked around as we're rowing. He's just looking around, and I'm watching him. And then I started looking around to see what he was seeing. And as soon as I did that, he said,
"You're back."
"This is my church." I go there every day. So those early days in the village, they gave me a good idea of what old people are like, what schools are like.
You can stop it there, Jay. Thank you. I'm not too sure what happened there. The technology, the toils of technology at times. I really hope that for the next 25 minutes here, everybody can see me and everything continues to work well. Just give it up to the technology gods, whatever's out there, that everything goes smoothly. Yeah, we'll just move on to the next slide. That was just we decided we took a break instead of doing the debrief after that last meditation, the body scan. When I'm doing this in groups, I often get folks to pair up and kind of debrief with a partner. And
just to let you know, now your image is frozen, but that's fine. It's fine. Just continue on with delivering the webinar. Everybody can hear you, but
okay,
the video is off. So just
okay. Okay, my apologies for the technology. I really am not sure what's happening there, but I will do my best to just continue speaking with as much presence and paint a picture of the image of me as possible. I was just saying that when I do a debrief, when I'm doing this with groups in person, I often get folks to debrief with one another. So we'll do a meditation or have an experience together. Then I'll get folks to partner up. And one of the questions earlier was, can I do this with my partner? And absolutely. I think that is a beautiful practice. I think that it could only mean beautiful, positive things for your relationship. So I really hope that whoever wrote that engages in a mindfulness practice and or begins a meditation practice with their partner. I dream of having a sitting practice and involving my hubby. He's an off again, on again meditator, like so many people. And I feel like it would be such a way to bond at a deeper level and to share in just different experiences together. So we'll move into a grounding earth meditation. Just really feeling the energy that's available to us at any time through our relationship with Mother Earth as Indigenous people, as Indigenous entrepreneurs walking into worlds. We can always call upon the energy of our powerful connection with Mother Earth. If you do not already have bare feet, I would invite you to take off your socks or shoes or slippers just to really further feel the connection barefoot with the earth beneath you. And now, as before, just come into this moment together. I'd invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. And if you'd rather not close your eyes, you can look at a spot in front of you just with a soft gaze. Take a few minutes to breathe into your body. Relaxing, I should say inviting relaxation into your being, into your body. Now in your own time, you can direct your attention to your feet. Feel your feet on the earth. Now imagine that there are roots coming from your feet, going down, 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 down through the floor, through your apartment or your house or the room that you're in, to the surface of the earth below, and further down still, the lifeline to the earth's core, the fiery center where all life arises from. Feel those roots coming from your feet, down, down, down into the earth center. Imagine that fiery life, full of vitality, energy. Feel the connection with it. Through your feet, through these roots. Allow your body to sink into the chair. Imagine there are roots from your tailbone going down, 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 down into the earth, past the floor, past the building that you're sitting in, down, down, down into the earth. Feel that core, the vitality. Breathe it in through your roots. The roots that come from your feet, from your tailbone, down into the earth. Invite that connection. Feel that support and that fire and that vitality, the aliveness. Imagine it coming up, 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 up those roots. With each breath in, breathing in that powerful energy from the very center of the earth. Breathing in with gratitude for this energy that is always available. Allow that energy to come up through your roots, up into your body, up into your feet, into your legs and your arms and your core. Breathe that fiery earth energy, invigorating into your belly. Your belly is your power center, just like the earth's power center. Breathe in this power, sitting strong and rooted in belonging and connection with yourself and the earth. And this power that is your birthright. Breathing it in. Breathing in that energy up through your belly, your chest, up through the top of your head, and giving that energy up. It might feel tingly or electric. Give that energy up to the sky energy, to the heavens. Allow yourself to open to that connection as well. Earth energy, sky energy, all part of this great cycle. Us humans are halfway between heaven and earth, halfway between sky and earth. This is powerful. This is so special. We can call upon this connection at any time. For a few last breaths, breathing in that earth energy that's grounding you. Powerful. Might feel a bit heavy. And also the sky, expansive, open. And in your own time, on one or two out breaths, you can come back into the room, into your body, into the circle. Flutter open your eyes. And come into this next moment. So grateful to you all. I really hope you can hear me. I'm assuming it's still a go. Just a reminder, and anything that you're experiencing now, it's all as it is, and it's all beautiful. There isn't any particular sensation or experience that we're cultivating with that. We're all unique, and we all might have experienced that in different ways. Perhaps you are feeling a little bit more invigorated and also grounded, and would invite you to use the chat function if you would like to make a few comments, not so much on the experience, but just on what you're feeling, what you're experiencing in your body sitting here now. Beautiful to take a few minutes after a practice to bring awareness to what's happening for you. That can be part of the practice. You know, how was that for me today? What did I experience in my body and in the feeling sense?
Nadia, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question here from Steve. In the Victoria Native Friendship Center, what programs are available from the Wellness Center? And if COVID has closed any programs that were available from the Friendship Center?
So yeah, COVID, we have been not shut down, but we've been closed to community since I think about mid-March, including our wellness programs. We have a fabulous wellness clinic that has acupuncture and massage and plant medicine and physio and numerous other things that can be one of many gateways to wellness. And my mom likes to call it the multi-pronged approach. In fact, sometimes when I've gotten acupuncture in the past by the students that come to the center, because it's open to community and staff, I actually will practice. We'll have a sit, we'll have a meditation while those acupuncture needles are in me, and actually find that my body is quite responsive to that. It really, really moves things through and can be quite healing and grounding. So yeah, in answer to your question, all of those different programs, the vast majority of our programs have been either closed temporarily or adjusted. Certainly anything that I just mentioned in the wellness clinic has been closed due to COVID. We hope for that to change in the weeks to come. No official word on when the wellness clinic offerings will be coming back or when we'll be open to community again. First our children and our families, and then lastly our elders. Being so incredibly precious, I think it's being recommended that we wait an additional month after we open to the general public and our families, for the elders to wait another month. So I hope that answers your question. And yeah, we have a skeleton crew at the Friendship Center if anyone has any additional questions or needs more information regarding programming. We're good? Okay. So just more specifically, because a few of you have asked about, well, how can this benefit my business? How can this benefit me as an entrepreneur? As I've stated, but I really can't say it enough, you're really cultivating presence and a non-reactive, dynamic ability to go with life, with what life presents you. You're not fighting the flow. You're rolling with things in the chaos and everything in between. You'll be more flexible and adaptable, particularly, throughout this pandemic. I really believe that it helps you be more creative and come up with new ideas and really tuned into that visioning creativity part of you. Presence allows you to respond dynamically to whatever's in front of you, whether you're in a meeting, whether you're in an interview, whether you're offering a workshop, whether you're sitting with a client or someone you're engaging with for your business. You're going to deepen your ability to pay attention, and you will become more skilled in everything that you do over time. You're going to deepen your relationship with your body over time, and that's going to deepen your cultivate your relationship with your instincts, which we all have an ingrained instinctual intuition. You'll have a closer and more cultivated relationship with that, and I believe that'll help you make better business decisions. Especially when kind of multiple things are coming at you at once, you'll listen to that voice inside, and you'll have a strong relationship with it that'll steer you in the best direction that moment is offering. There's also practices where, and we'll be engaging in one if, we're almost out of time. Wow, it's really flown by. One of my favorite practices is gratitude. So you can practice gratitude by writing in a gratitude journal, or you can say out loud, things that you're grateful for at the dinner table or whatnot. But one of the best ways is to actually reflect on gratitude as you're meditating. And I do have a short, if we can get to it, where I will lead you through that. But if we don't, and you're curious, you can look on YouTube under gratitude meditation, or on various mindfulness or meditation apps. My favorite free one, I only have free apps because I'm kind of too cheap to pay for them, I guess. But my favorite one is called Insight Timer. And I'm a big believer in mindful use of technology. So using technology with awareness and as a tool. And in fact, technology through an app or through a YouTube video can be a really positive thing in helping you cultivate and build a meditation practice. Next slide. Well, we'll do a practice taking in the good. Very kind of similar to the gratitude meditation, and I think it would be a really nice way to end off. Really wish that the video was still working, but we'll persevere. Okay.
Video is working, Amelia. It has been for about 10 minutes now.
Oh, it's working.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Good thing I didn't do anything.
Yes, you're moving about beautifully.
Good thing I didn't do anything embarrassing. Oh, we gotta laugh. Laughter is medicine, and also laughing at our beautiful humanness, collective humanness. So grateful. Okay, so just coming into your chair and your bodies for another practice, for another experience. I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable. And anytime you can open them or gaze softly at the floor. Just breathing into wherever you need it. And now, as you're settling, I'll invite you to think of or bring to mind a situation, something that you've experienced lately in which you felt good. Could be a conversation with a loved one, or watching your child play, or perhaps sipping a cup of coffee first thing in the morning, or even a walk outside in the sunshine today. Could be anything that comes to mind. where you felt good, peace or joy or contentedness. And once you have something in mind, breathe in that experience of goodness, of pleasure, of whatever lit you up about what you were experiencing. Breathe in that good experience. Remember what you saw, how you felt. Breathe it in, marinating in that experience. Breathe it into your cells, to every organ. Allow this good to flood your being like you are marinating in it. You might invite a soft smile, or the corners of your mouth will turn up. Notice and breathe in the experience of goodness. From the top of your head to the tips of your toes, flood your being with that beautiful experience that you've had. And tune in lastly to your heart center, the center of your chest. You could put your hand there to have that connection. Breathe in the goodness of whatever came to mind. Take in that good. Body, mind, and spirit. With a few breaths, you can let that experience go. Coming back into the moment. Thank you. So that practice, I know we're at 8:01 and I want to respect everyone's time. That practice, there's many different ways of what it's been called. It comes from one of my teachers. I mentioned him before, Rick Hansen, and he believes in micro moments throughout the day of taking in the good. So whether you're sipping on your coffee or you're eating an orange or you're watching your family member engage in something that they love, or you're listening to a gorgeous piece of music, or you're feeling the sun on your face, I'd invite you all to try those little micro moments. So rather than letting those beautiful moments just slide by like Teflon, remember, positive like Teflon slides right off, negative experiences are like Velcro. So we can skew our minds to be more positive by really marinating in these mini pleasurable, positive experiences throughout the day. And especially when a more formal sitting practice is not doable in a busy life, the micro mindfulness moments of taking in the good are a really lovely solution to that. Someone wrote earlier about kids being really distracting, and a sitting practice might not be right for you or for every family. If your children, I should say one last thing, are at all curious or interested, I would invite you to invite them to join you on your journey and maybe learning together, whether it's looking at a YouTube video or reading. There are different books out there for kids about like yoga for kids, meditation for kids. Dr. Michael Yellowbird practices with his kids, and I hope to practice with my girl if she shows an interest as she gets older. So, the younger you start, I think, the longer that this could potentially be a powerful medicine. I'm so grateful for the time that you've taken out of all of your busy lives, and I just feel so honored to have spent this time with you and come together in circle with the intention of connection and cultivating, beautiful relations and gentleness, especially during these troubled, challenging times that we're living in. Hoa, thank you for your kind attention from the bottom of my heart. And I would love to make myself available for questions if you still have them, and if you need to go, please feel free to email me at nadia.s@vnfc.ca. That's my Friendship Center email, and I'm more than happy to do what I can to point you in the right direction if you have any questions. I'm just very, very lit up by this time with you all.
Well, thank you very much, Nadia. I don't know if I've ever gone through any webinars where I've come out the other end feeling so calm and so mellow. And it's actually brought back a lot of what we used to do in university when things were really tense and when we were younger and trying to do a million things at once. And we did meditation and mindfulness, and it's just really neat to get back there. It really is. And just from a business perspective, if you are a calmer person, you will focus better. You will deal with clients better. You will be calmer when you're out building your business, looking at opportunities, dealing with funders, etc. So it's a really valuable lesson for entrepreneurship. And it may seem a little out of place when we talk about business opportunities and marketing and communication and blah, 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 and on we go. But when you take a minute to think about being calm and mellowing and getting focused and getting in control of your inner self, it's just awesome. So thank you again, Nadia. It was an absolute pleasure. I'd just like to remind everybody next week on the first and second Monday, Tuesday, we have Chris Catters, and I'll be sending out invitations on that. He is a very successful Métis entrepreneur, and he will be talking about business opportunities for Indigenous entrepreneurs, getting down to the nitty-gritty of what is out there in terms of opportunities for today, for tomorrow, how to choose your options, talking about success stories. And he is also a really great facilitator. So thank you all. Thank you all for your attention. Hope you've enjoyed it. And stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Thank you again, Nadia. Good night.
Hoa, thank you, Jay.